Every day, you open a portal to the world that might be Chrome, Safari, or Firefox. It's so seamless, so natural, we barely think about it. But what if I told you that the browser you're using was born from a brutal war? A war where a brilliant pioneer was ruthlessly hunted down and extinguished by the most powerful company on Earth. This is the story of Netscape, the company that gave the internet to the people. And this is the story of Microsoft, the sleeping giant that Netscape accidentally awoke. This is the browser wars. Before 1994, the internet was a dark, confusing place, a world of text commands and academic jargon, inaccessible to ordinary people. But at the University of Illinois, a young programmer named Mark Andreessen and his team created a spark of browser called Mosaic for the first time. Images and text appeared on the same page. It was magic. Andreessen saw the future. He co-founded a new company, Netscape, and in late 1994, they released Netscape Navigator. It was fast, user-friendly, and it took the world by storm. The World Wide Web was no longer a theory. It was a place you could visit. The growth was explosive within a year. Netscape Navigator captured over 80% of the browser market. The big and logo was the symbol of the new digital age. In August 1995, Netscape went public with one of the most successful IPOs in history. Mark Andreessen, barefoot, was on the cover of Time magazine. They were the kings of the internet, a brand new empire. But they had just made a fatal mistake. They woke the giant. In Redmond, Washington, Microsoft and Bill Gates had initially dismissed the internet. They were focused on one thing: protecting their Windows monopoly. But Gates quickly realized the danger. Netscape wasn't just a browser, it was a potential new platform, an operating system for the internet that could make Windows irrelevant. In May 1995, Gates wrote a now legendary internal memo called the Internet Tidal Wave, declaring the web as the most important development since the PC. Microsoft's entire corporate machinery turned on a dime. Their new Prime Directive crushed Netscape. In a now infamous meeting, Microsoft executives allegedly told Netscape they wanted a piece of their business. When Netscape refused, the threat was clear: we will cut off your air supply. The war had begun. Microsoft launched its weapon, Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer 10 was a joke, a rushed copy, but Microsoft had infinite resources. IE20 was better. IE30 was a legitimate competitor. But Microsoft's true weapon wasn't technology, it was their monopoly. They began bundling Internet Explorer for free with every copy of Windows 95. Why would millions of new PC users bother to download Netscape when a perfectly good browser was already on their desktop for free? This was the kill shot. Netscape's business model, selling their browser, was instantly obsolete. Microsoft then tightened the screws. They forced PC makers like Dell and Compaq to make IE the default browser and forbid them from pre-installing Netscape. This was the air supply being cut off. Netscape was locked out of the primary distribution channel. Netscape fought back, making their browser free too, but the damage was done. The market share charts told a brutal story. In a last-ditch effort, Netscape made a historic move. They released their browser's source code to the public, creating the Mozilla Project. In 1998, Netscape was acquired by AOL for $42 billion, but it was too little, too late. The once proud pioneer was effectively dead. But the story wasn't over. The U.S. Department of Justice sued Microsoft for anti-competitive practices. In 2000, a judge ruled that Microsoft had operated as an abusive monopoly and ordered the company to be broken in two. Though the breakup was later overturned, the verdict was clear: Microsoft had won the war, but they had won it illegally. The legacy is complex. Microsoft's actions killed Netscape, but they also inadvertently sparked the open source movement that would give rise to its successor. For years, Internet Explorer reigned supreme in a stagnant market, but from the ashes of Netscape, Firefox rose to challenge its dominance, paving the way for the competitive browser market we have today. The browser wars were a brutal, defining chapter of the Internet's history, a cautionary tale of how a titan can use its power to crush innovation, but also a story of how, even in death, a great idea can plant a seed for the future. Let's decode the kill shot further, the integration of IE into the very code of Windows. This made IE not just an application, but a fundamental part of the operating system, a move Netscape could never compete with. Microsoft also poured hundreds of millions of dollars into IE development, assembling a team far larger than Netscape's entire company. They outspent, outmuscled, and outmaneuvered their smaller rival at every turn. It was a war of attrition Netscape was destined to lose. The impact on the web itself was significant. The war led to years of non-standard features, with websites being best viewed in Netscape or best viewed in Internet Explorer. Microsoft's victory led to a dark age for browsers with over 95% market share. They stopped innovating on IE for nearly 5 years. This stagnation is what allowed Firefox, the spiritual successor to Netscape, to gain a foothold. The antitrust case, while too late for Netscape, put a check on Microsoft's power for years, arguably preventing them from dominating other areas like search. It created an opening for a small startup to grow unhindered. That startup was Google. So while Microsoft killed Netscape, their illegal victory created the conditions for their next great rival to emerge, a classic case of unintended consequences. What happened to the key players? Mark Andreessen went on to become one of the most powerful venture capitalists in Silicon Valley, and Bill Gates stepped down as CEO in 2000, partly due to the pressures of a lawsuit, and began his transition into full-time philanthropy. The war left scars on everyone involved. It was a story of brilliance and brutality, of innovation and intimidation. It taught Silicon Valley a powerful lesson. It's not always the best technology that wins. Sometimes it's the best distribution. The ghost of Netscape haunts the tech world to this day, a constant reminder of what happens when a giant decides to play for keeps. Do you remember using Netscape Navigator? What are your memories of the early web? Let us know below. If you enjoyed this dive into tech history, help us decode more giants by hitting that like button. And for more stories of brutal business wars, subscribe to Decoding the Giants. We dig deep into the battles that shape the world we live in today. The browser wars may be over, but the fight for the future of the internet never ends. Netscape lost the battle, but their revolutionary idea, an open web for everyone, ultimately won the war. Their story is a crucial piece of the code that built our digital world.